Alright, greetings everyone. I'm doing this video on cell phone. I don't know how good it's going to be. I haven't done a video in a while. Some things have changed. In that case, I got a new phone, so it's a little bit updated. It's a little bit easier to record, so we'll see how this goes. I wanted to give kind of an update of what's going on with what I'm doing, and kind of like a background of why there hasn't been a video in a while. I had a new job that I got a little bit ago, and that pretty much took up all of my time. It was pretty stressful, to say the least. Unfortunately, I got let go from that job, so right now I am unemployed, and it's a blessing and a curse at the same time. Obviously, the curse is that I don't really have any type of income. But at the same time, it allows me to work on a variety of things and kind of focus my efforts on a variety of different hobbies / career movements and so forth. But so that's essentially what's been going on. I hope to do more updates and videos in the near future. But the problem is also that's a lack of funds. So it's really hard to figure out what I'm going to do and justify it and spend the money to get something to add to my collection when I'm like, it could be using that money for this or that. And it's kind of like, well, what are you going to do? I mean, you be playing this war in your head the whole time. But so this is just a culmination mainly over, I'd say, the last couple of weeks. There's some stuff that's a little bit before that, but not too much. But that just kind of gives you an idea. So I guess really there's no real order to it. So what I'll do, I'll just do some stuff that I picked up at GameStop. There was a Congregate coupon that was going out. So I wound up being able to, $5 off, $5. But you had to spend $5. So there was a couple of games I was looking at that were $4.99, and it was like so it was a shame I couldn't pick those up. But one of the ones I picked up was $6.99, so it made it $2 in the end. Was Ninja Gaiden, Yaiba Z, I believe it is. Ninja Gaiden Z, or Yaiba Ninja Gaiden Z. I haven't had a chance to play this, but essentially it's zombies, or it's ninjas with zombies. What I thought was pretty cool, though, with that was the extras that came with it. You get a code. Probably isn't good at all, but hey, if it is, great. And I also look for stuff to be complete, so that also hinders on what I pick up. But it came with the manual. The disc looked good, and also it came with this little comic. I am such a sucker for these types of things. I don't know. I feel like they add a tremendous amount to the game. I am, as you know, all about physical releases. If I have to get something that is, let's say, a digital-only copy, I try not to, but if that's the only way it's going to be, I have done it in the past. So, $2 for that one. Another one I picked up at GameStop was this one that I didn't have on my in my collection for a while. I honestly don't know why, because I'm such a big horror person in game-wise. And the more I looked at it in different lists, and my wife suggested this to me a while ago, it just made sense to go with it, is Clive Barker's Jericho. So, got that, and oh, okay, it's a bonus code for something else. It almost felt like there's another manual in there. Oh, it's got some extra thing. I think it's to promote the other games that they're selling. I just love these things. I mean, it gives you an idea to look back into time of what they were selling at the time and what they were promoting. So you got like the Clive Barker's Jericho. Then you got Turning Point, Fall of Liberty. Looks like an interesting one as well. Another first-person shooter. Heist, I've never heard of. Then you have Rise of the Argonauts. I had that for a brief period of time on on the hard drive, and it was okay. It wasn't really, and I'm a big Rise of the Argonauts fan. And then the first Dirt, so that's kind of cool. Some of these you get to see where they started out from, and then Operation Flashpoint 2. So I'll be trying that out at some point soon. I'm still playing through some games right now that have been taking up my time. One of them being Fallout 4. I feel like that thing is never going to end, but it's good. So it's not a negative, but it kind of goes into the whole thing of sometimes when they say like, oh, this game has so many hours you can put into it, that's almost a negative now at this point. So one of the ones I picked up at Goodwill was Ratchet and Clank All for One for the PS3. It has reversible liner art. I don't really worry about those too much, but I wanted to try to get into the Ratchet and Clank series. I feel like this is probably the best way to do it, is how cheap these are. But I'm going to try the collection first before I go through that. Another one that I got at GameStop. Surprise wasn't that I hadn't had it, but it was so pricey for a period of time, and finally it got cheaper. So I wound up getting this, I think, for $5. It was on my list trying to find. There was a non-greatest hits. That was another thing. Dead Space. I played through a little bit of it, and the thing is very frustrating. I'm stuck at one point where I just can't figure out one of the puzzles, but yeah, I'm definitely going to be playing this and finishing this. So then I had, let's see, I also picked this up at GameStop. It was $2.99 by itself. Same thing actually with Jericho. Sorry, forgot to tell you the price on that. I don't know if I said the Ratchet and Clank one. If I did, apologize, but it was $3.97 at Goodwill. But I picked up Skyrim for the PS3, and somebody was like, well, why don't the guy at the thing was like, why don't you pick it up at for the PS4? And I'm like, because there's a big difference in price. I'm like, I'm okay with the PS3 version of it, really, until the PS4 version drops down. I mean, with what I'm playing right now, I probably won't be able to get to this for a while. But $2.99 I felt was a good price. Comes with the manual, obviously, an insert for Dishonored and Prey, which I don't know if you had a chance to watch the E3 from Bethesda. I wasn't really impressed. I just felt like it was just kind of, this is this year's version of these games that we're releasing. It's going to be Elder Scrolls Online, this version, or I'm trying to think of another one they had. Wolfenstein, I think it was, just another version of that. And I'm not too big into Wolfenstein, so maybe if I was, it'd be like, okay, but it's so many things are following one right after another. I feel like nothing's kind of new. But with stuff like that, I mean, I'm interested. It's just not at the price point that they're going to have. So at that point, if it was like, I don't know, $3, $5 type of thing, and it's like one of the, obviously it's a lot of effort that gets put into these games. So I get it. But at the same time, for a person who's spending that amount of money, you want to see what your return of investment is, type of thing, like as in the enjoyment of whatever you're playing at that point. I feel like these go by too quickly and they drop too much in price for me to justify spending, okay, it's worth an extra $20 to have it 1 week or 2 weeks beforehand. And I really do feel that the sales that they have pretty much drop them that much in price. So, but the map is in good shape. I thought this is something that I will get into with how much I'm enjoying Fallout, which I really didn't think was going to be the case. Yeah, this will be something I'll be playing soon. So, one I picked up from a thrift store a while ago, but I wanted to add it into here just because this is kind of like a general update of everything that's going on at this point, and just stuff that I'm picking up, is Saw 2 the game. I got this for $2 and some change. Comes complete. Still looking to find the first one for pretty cheap, and we'll keep hunting. I feel like $2 and some change, though, wasn't too bad for this guy at a thrift store. Another one I picked up, this was kind of like a thrift store type of thing. Never heard of it, but looked kind of interesting, and I'm a sucker for these types of games with a cheap price like this. Sacred 2, Fallen Angel, or is it Fallen Angel Sacred 2? I think it's Sacred 2 Fallen Angel. That one came complete. The manual is thick on this thing. Like, you can just hear it. Jesus. But it looks interesting. Some just basics. I love these things, these manuals. I can't get enough of them. Just because it reminds me of being a kid and you couldn't play your game for whatever reason because you only had one TV and that was taken up at the time. So you'd look at the manual to get yourself through it, and you would anticipate, like, all right, this is what I'm going to do when I first start the game, and so forth. So I got that for $3. Yeah, $3. Next one I got at the same place. This was pretty cheap, and they had some other games. They had Skyrim Legendary Edition. They wanted $3 for that, and I couldn't justify it because I just bought Skyrim from GameStop for $2.99. So it'd be a second one, and it would just... I could have returned it, but it's like, at that point, it's whatever. So, I'll probably find it again for whatever. So, I picked up for $3 the... Yeah, was it 3? I think so. This was in another thrift store. Godfather 2. Still looking for the Godfather Don's Edition, but for the time being, not bad. And I had a chance to play The Godfather, I believe it was, for the PS2. Graphics weren't the greatest, but, I mean, that was kind of... That was like the entry level, I guess you could say. So with this, I feel like I'll stick with this one and wait for the other one to come in, and then I'll start that and see how that is. I've watched the first Godfather, not really impressed, and I mean, the main thing is because everybody sits there and tells you how great this movie is. It's one of the greatest movies of all time, if not the greatest. So you have so much anticipation for it, it kind of doesn't do it justice. So I'm trying to move fast on this because I got a lot, but at the same time I'm kind of like, well, this is kind of an update video, so it's going to be long, but I apologize if you're not feeling it, but hey. So another one I picked up, I picked this up at a flea market. I don't know if this actually comes with a manual. It comes with some type of insert code thing. It might have just not come with a manual at all. Who knows? So is Alpha Protocol for the PS3. This looks like your standard Battlefield, I would say. So it looked interesting enough. I got this for $1. And I was like, all right, I'll do that for $1. Oh, you know what? I'll switch it over. So another one, I went to a yard sale. I got these for 10 cents. Now, they are nothing special, but I got them to replace some cases. So, and they were also 10 cents. And I was like, really, 10 cents? I missed, the kid was like, oh, I had other games and everything, but they all sold and stuff. So I was like, God damn it, I know those were going to be the good ones, and these are the leftovers, obviously. But I replaced out a couple of cases. So I got Madden 09 for PS3, which is kind of funny because some of the Maddens are better, I guess you could say better than others, which is obvious. But I mean in the sense of playability-wise, where, like, I had Madden 12, and I think it was Madden 12, where it was mostly online, or Madden 13 maybe? I don't really remember the main one there, but yeah, it was barely, you could barely play it if you didn't have a network connection. So so I picked that up. I may try it. I have other Maddens. I probably will just get rid of it. I don't really think of keeping it at all. The other one is Mag, and this is the problem that I was saying a while ago with video games. Why? Because you buy this game, this is online only based, it is now worthless. Unless for some reason people have a nostalgia value and they want the physical thing just to display, this is useless. There is no server up anymore. You cannot connect. So essentially, I could throw this out the window and it'll be worth just the same. So once again, 10 cents on that, mainly just for the case. I guess you could bring it up as a video game talking point type of thing. So maybe it's good for a video, but past that point. So that one's actually not a game pickup that I had. That is something I've had for a while. I swapped out the case for that as well, and yeah, just didn't need it. But just in case you're curious, there's Madden 12 for Xbox 360. So next up, this one was interesting. The guy had a weird setup where he was asking, what was it, 2 for $1, I think? And I was trying to find one, or trying to find 2. I could only find 1. So actually, you know what? The first one, let me bring that up, because that was interesting, is SSX for the PS3. So this was 50 cents. Just the game, but yeah, that's a pretty good deal. And then I was trying to find something else just so to make it even at that point. And I wound up finding something that was kind of interesting. I've been apparently collecting a lot of these as of recently. Spider-Man games. So this is Spider-Man Web of Shadows for the PSP. These aren't too bad. Doesn't have the manual, but 50 cents again. And the UMD is in pretty decent shape. So yeah, can't really go wrong there. I was checking, I was like, did my phone stop recording? I'm so used to that with the camera, but yeah, it's still recording. So next one up is, got this for $2. I wound up picking this up along with a bug case. Because I have praying mantises and mantids, or had. So I needed like a cricket holder. This had little canisters and stuff, so I picked that up. And then this was also $2, and it was the only good one out of there. Spider-Man Shattered Memories. I actually have this on the 360 that I picked it up for, and this has a manual as well. And also an interesting code. I don't know if this works in general, and it's not some type of special code, so I can just show you. But it's a button combination. So if you hit the button combination on here, this might only work for the 360, but hey, give it a try if you have it for the PS3 and see if that works. And that'll give you the unlock the negative suit. You might have some type of internet connection. So I picked this up a while ago, I think for $2 or so, or maybe $3. And I picked this up for $2, and this does have the manual as well. I prefer, as you know, PS3 versions. If at all possible, or when at all possible. So next up was, and this was a couple of weeks ago. Same thing with the Spider-Man, the SSX, and the other Spider-Man for the PSP. Pick this up. This is more just to flip. Like I said, as being out of work, you need some money for your games. So in this case, that's exactly what this is going for. Super Mario Wii. She wanted 5. I was able to get it for 3. So it's just the case. A little beat up, but not too bad. Other ones I found. This one looked kind of interesting. Essentially, you go around and take out people in a vehicle. But it was just such an odd title name. Well, not really that odd, but I hadn't heard of it. Now I've seen it twice, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, whatever. It was $1. Reckless, the Yakuza missions. And it's got that lovely EB sticker right on the manual. Because, yeah, everybody wants that, so they can never get it off. But disc was in good shape. Yeah, pretty good. So I wanted to give that a try and see how that is, how bad it's going to be. But for $1, I was okay with it. Next up, this one I did not have in my collection. I don't know if it's the same. I don't know too much about this series. I originally know that it was, or I first seen it, on the Sega Saturn. And this might be a continuation of it, or it could just be something completely different. But is Knights and this one's Journey into Dreams. I wound up being able to get this for, I think, $2 or $3. Manual's in good shape, and the disc, I believe, was in good shape as well. But this is one I plan to keep, at least until I get a chance to actually play them, and if I hate the game, then maybe not. But yeah, not bad shape. I'm gonna swap out the case. It's got the standard Blockbuster case on there. Next one, I've never seen this for the Xbox. I'm very familiar with it for the PS1. PC, as pretty much everybody is, if you're aware of this game, which you should be, is Roller Coaster Tycoon. So I got this one for $3. And yeah, manual's in good shape, the game's there, and that's in good shape. I was actually just playing it the night before I picked it up for the Xbox, and I was like, oh, it's a shame they don't have a console version. Little did I know they actually do. So I think this is only on the Xbox. I mean, I didn't even know it came on a console. But yeah, pretty excited about that one. Little things. So another thing that I picked up there, I kind of said that because I was like, oh, maybe I'll go with this, and I was like, nah, you know what, I forgot, I have some other stuff here. So it is so difficult to find games that are cheap, that are retro, like as in PS1, cartridge based, like 64 and stuff like that. But I was able to find this one. This guy only had one cartridge. I'm pretty sure I didn't have it in my collection, and I was able to get him down to $3 for it, so it's worth trying out, and I just haven't taken it out of the sandwich bag it came in for whatever reason. Biofreaks. So let me know what your thoughts are on that if you've played that before. I have no idea what kind of game this is. It says Midway, so I'm thinking fighting right off the bat. But before that, I was like, oh, maybe it's something else. Like, I was thinking War Gods just now. I don't know, kind of like Fighting Force in a sense. Like you're playing as one of them. I have no idea what that game is like, but that was a pretty decent price. This one, I was able to find a PS1 game. I got this for $2 because the disc was kind of beat up. The case was in a lot worse shape, but I swapped out the case. So, and I didn't have it. Gex for the PS1. I remember looking at this game for a while and going, eh. One thing that bothers me though is Kid drew on the manual, because I looked at the manual, I was like, that looks weird. I'm like, why would anybody create a t-shirt like that? But it's not supposed to be blue. That somebody wrote in pen. It's supposed to be white, I believe. So, but disc is in pretty, it's okay shape. I wouldn't say really rough, it's really hard to tell, but you can kind of see some of the scratches there. But if I ever want to, I can get it resurfaced, but I'll just try it as is and see what I think of the game. But I was able to swap out the case, so yeah, for $2. This one was interesting. This isn't a game, but it is going into a unit, and my friend had given me a motherboard combo with a new processor and a lot more memory than I have in my current setup. I have finally put it into a case. I haven't tested it out yet, but I wanted to try it with, I wanted to make a gaming PC. So it was like, all right, well, you need a graphics card, which kind of tells you what this is. The guy had it sitting out on the table, nothing covering it, and I was like, oh God, I'll be amazed if this thing works. He wanted $3 for it. With the type of graphics card it is, I don't know if it's going to work or not, but I'm like, you know what? This is as cheap as I'm going to get it for this type of card. I'll go with it. $3. If it works, great. If it doesn't, oh well. $3. So it is a PNY, I guess you could say an NVIDIA Verto 9600 GT. And on the back of the sticker, it's saying DDR3 1 gigabyte. Well, 1 gigabyte is 4 times the amount of graphics memory I had in a previous card. So for whatever reason, if it doesn't work in this card doesn't work in there, I could guess I could go to that. God, it's sad how much you spend on these things and then they're worth like nothing. So yeah, that one was interesting. I mean, at least it was something I was looking for previously and fits the need. So now we went to this game store that's inside, and usually there's places that are like specialized with flea markets and stuff. They're usually pretty expensive, but this one wasn't too bad. This was, some of the stuff was still kind of outrageous, what you would expect, but then they had strategy guides, and it wasn't, the strategy guides were okay. They were kind of on par with like something I would pay if I found it, let's say, a flea market or so, or a thrift store. So I was okay with that, and that was Nightmare Creatures. I was able to justify, because I was like, well, you know what, it is a horror game, and yeah, the graphics look bad, but it's something that when I find it, I will definitely pick up the game. So $1.99, pretty good deal for that, plus tax and stuff. I mean, it's got a bend in the back, which I knew about, and it's got this writing on there, but you know what? It's pretty cheap, and it's something I'm going to be keeping. So, going to that further, another one that we picked up at that same game store, and was something I was eyeing for a while. I saw one in GameStop a while ago, and it was pretty pricey. They wanted full retail, and this was about 4 years ago, I think. And I was like, nah, I'm not spending that. So I waited on it, and I'm glad that I did, because this one I was able to get a lot cheaper. Now I just need to piece the rest of it together to play it, and you'll understand why. Eye of Judgment for the PS3. If you're not familiar with Eye of Judgment, this was like one of the first things to come out that you use the camera to play a card game. So there's a mat that folds out, which is, you can kind of see it right in here. There's these starter cards and stuff, and essentially it would, let's see if I can get something here. It kind of plays out where you can see like the person that comes out, like you put the card down on the table, and then the fighter appears, or the character, I should say, appears, and then you use the character in that to play the game. It was a really interesting idea. It was just not something that I wanted to put full price down on for something I probably wasn't gonna like. Now the problem is getting all the pieces. The camera's pretty easy to come by. The game's easy to come by. What's hard to come by? The cards. The deck, the starter cards, and the map. I still don't have the map. I didn't pick up the game just because there's no point. I have a PlayStation Eye by itself. And it's just, I can't really do it. I can't open this up for that. But it's part of the fun, actually. It's just piecing it all together, trying to get the pieces, and it's just amazing to think, like, you know, this thing was somewhere else in a completely other store or other state, and you find it by itself, and then you're piecing it all back together. It's like some weird detective mission that you're on. So, now these are, let's see, what else do I have here? Okay, so this was something my wife picked up. I was thrilled, to say the least. These were $5 a piece. This was before I was let go from my job. So it was nice to get them at that point and not feel guilty about it. But now it's kind of like, But some of them were on my list for a while. So first was ice hockey for the NES. That wasn't one that was on my list. But it wasn't something I owned, and I was like, you know what, $5, I'm okay with it. So that, another one, Track and Field 2 on the NES. Once again, not on my list. Next one, Excite Bike. That was on my list. So I was very happy to get that. And she said that the person said that they just put those out. And that she obviously she was the first one to get them, but probably like 15 minutes maybe they were out for, and then she walked it. Usually we don't have that luck. That's like almost never. So when she called me and I was on, I wasn't there with her, so it was over the phone type of thing, and I had to tell her like yes and stuff. I would have been so ecstatic to walk in there and see them like in the wild, essentially, just with how hard it is to come by stuff and like certain things that you're really looking forward to and trying to find, and then you find it and it's like just great. So and then there was other ones that I picked up because I was like, okay, I can get rid of this, I can trade this for something else, or I can sell it to make back the money, or see what the condition is of the ones we have and go from there. So Super Mario 2, this one comes with the manual. I have to see the condition of mine and go from there. Next up is Iron Sword, Wizards and Warriors 2. That comes with the manual as well. That one I gotta see what the condition of mine is. Next one I knew I had, so the same thing, I was okay with buying it because I was like, well, maybe it's in better condition and stuff. And it also had the manual. Dragon Warrior, the first one. And I believe these all have the little dust covers. So, and I thought these were pretty cool. These are the types of maps of everything you would get, like in the beginning and stuff. And it was just, it added so much to the game. You wouldn't think it would, but it just did for that time. And then you get to see the screens in there and stuff. And I just remember getting these games like brand new. Not this one specifically. These weren't types of games I was into at the time. So it was like when you could get very few games, you would sit there and be like, all right, this has got to be the one. And then sometimes my parents would pick up one and I'd be like, what the hell, like, why did you pick up this? My mom wound up picking up Ghosts and Goblins. I have no idea. We picked it up at KB Toys, and at the time we spent, I think it was $70 on the game. So it's kind of funny that games are actually cheaper nowadays. I thought this was pretty cool, the food items and weapons and armor. Oh, that's not a food item, that's a club. They look like a turkey leg. They got shields and armor. So, won't bore you with that, but yeah, good condition with these. And then the last one here, which I had, Zelda 2, Adventure of Link. Once again, I have that. And the nice thing is with these, I mean, now that the collections are coming out, it's kind of like, well, you can have them digital, but you can also have the actual physical copy, and I don't have to worry about where the